All right, everybody. So today I just wanted to show you the muffler. I had to do it. And there was a good point. So I had a commenter say something. He was like, diesels breathe better if they're open. Why don't you leave it open? It's going to be more efficient. And I'm like, that's true. But my thing is I don't want, for a 300-meter radius, this thing to stick out like a sore thumb with noise. So that's why I decided we need to fix the noise a little bit. I'd rather it be like 100, 150 yards than 300 or more. That you can hear this, you know what I mean? So we need to dampen it a little bit. So the way I'm intended to counter that, and that's the old one that I built for this. This is a 4-inch. That was a 2-inch. This is 4-inch. Where's my light there? Right there. Okay, so it's all stainless. This is just what I happened to have. This tubing is also stainless, but it's thin, and I just pinched the end. I didn't care to weld it really, and I didn't have a purge. I don't have a purge set up, so yeah, just holes on both sides. And man, you can be really creative with a muffler. There's a million ways you could do this. You don't even have to make it nice like this. Like, you can just you can get like a small car muffler and adapt it to this. And so one of the things I did, that's a 1-inch tube. Now, their tubing wasn't that big. You can see my tubing is a little bigger. I'm trying to see where I'm at. There it is. Yeah. So my tubing's a little bigger than theirs. I actually had to squeeze mine down to fit theirs, so it should be okay because I'm oversized slightly. Got the coupler on. Now I had to adjust it, and line it, and now this rubs a little bit, so I gotta fix that alignment. I can do it. That's why I like this Lexan too, because it's easier to see your motor, so you can align it. Because you do have to adjust it slightly, and I moved it, and so of course it's off. And I think it's crooked a little bit too. I need to straighten it because when I loosen this side, I think my frame is very slightly, it's not necessarily crooked, it's very little. It doesn't take much to throw this off, so I had to oversize the holes for adjustments. So it looks pretty square. It looks like it might be off in the front. Like I need to scoot this that way slightly, because I think this didn't shift towards me, because I put it in a bind to try to get it as close as I could without opening the motor holes up, and then I realized I couldn't do it. So I opened the motor holes up. Now we're good. But fix that, and then I'm gonna finish this. This is the packing. It's ceramic. I'm pretty sure that's ceramic packing. It's gonna go around on the inside. Then I'm cutting this off. Get back so you can see it. Cutting that off, probably it's not going to be very tall, because this is way taller than I wanted it to be, but I'm like, straight up will work because it's compact anyways. So yeah, I'm going to put that. I have another cap, and then that tube will go down, and I might pinch it and put holes in, or I may just leave it open, because it's going to go in there eventually. But this is going to baffle with that packing. It's going to baffle the noise much better. It's probably still going to be a little loud, but that's going to dampen it a lot, man, especially from a distance. So I wanted to show you all that. And yeah, this one's basically, I had no packing. I should have put something in there, but it would have maybe helped a little more for sure. But this only dampened maybe, I don't know, 5%, 10% of the noise, which it was barely noticeable. When I started, I was like, oh man. The good thing is I made a nice snorkel for it so water can't get in, that's removable. And I colored that intentionally with a torch. I didn't color this one. I'm just going to leave it chrome or stainless. So, and yeah, that's a decent thickness, so it shouldn't rattle or anything. And this is solid welded, so it shouldn't rattle. And yeah, this should be a much quieter. And if it's still, I'll tell you what, eventually I am going to take this motor apart, because I want to look. That exhaust one of the bolts was loose, by the way. So you need to check your stuff if you buy one of these. Check all the bolts, make sure stuff's right, because I think they kind of hurried up and assembled it over there. They didn't care about torque settings too much. They didn't care about even drill the holes out on the bottom. It was still like casting nasty, so you have to drill your own holes. So I want to look in there and see how out of balance that motor is, and see if I can balance it. I can do it on the bench myself. I could see if it's out of balance, and I can balance it better if it is what I think it is, because I think it's kind of like a lawnmower. Like, they don't really care about, even though Briggs and Stratton and them, they balance it a little better than that. But this vibrates a lot, and even the reviews say that. But it runs good, and it's got good 2.5 horse, I think. I don't think it's 3 horse, but yeah. I still got to disassemble it again, because I got to put the other generator on them. I'm putting a second one over here. Holes are already there. and then I got to rewind it, so that's going to take a few days. And use an ink pen. Take the cartridge, inner cartridge out of an ink pen. That's how you can wind motors. You can even open that hole up on the end of the pen. It'll save your hands, trust me. Oh, I had blisters for weeks when I did this, and this took me 2 days because I was very meticulous, making sure the winds were right and the way I brought them out, all out. So, and I'll have to rewire that because I can't remember what I did. And is some open wires, so I have to look. I think it might be the neutral. I'm pretty sure I did that star, and it was like 3 pairs of parallel or something. 2, 3, I can't remember. It might have been 2. Or I think I might have seriesed all of them. I can't remember. I'll have to get into it because that's going to matter because I'll have to wire it for the voltage I want. Because this, I think, I got a couple of different boards. I found a 1500, and I'll show you when I get them. But a 1500 watt buck down that is 94% efficient, which isn't bad. That's their best. You know what I mean? It's probably really like 90, 91, but it can take up to 95 volts, and it bucks down. It has to be at least 20%. So if you pumping in 95, it's almost 100 volts, so you're getting out at least 80 volts, which you don't even need that much DC. If you want to make a little inverter out of this, you just get a 48 volt inverter. That way your cable requirements is low, and everything runs a little easier when you can use the highest voltage you can, but you still need to be able to maintain most of your power conversion. That's the key to all of this, man, to make a really efficient stuff. So, and we're gonna see if I can beat the efficiency of modern inverters. Are you curious? I'm curious to see if I can do it, because I think I can do it. I think so, and I think I can. I think I can do it. I really believe. And I had to drill that out because that's a 20 millimeter shaft. I drilled it out today. I ordered a cheap 20 millimeter with a 1/2 inch shank, and I do have a nice drill press access to a nice power feed that is pretty straight, so I did it on that, and it's good enough. But I wouldn't recommend that unless you have a good straightness, so you will have to open that up somehow. Or, now here's something some people do on the reviews. They'll start the motor, and they'll get a good file and some oil, and you spray oil on it, on your file too, and then you file it down and have a mic ready. And you just take it down, kill the motor, mic it, and get it down to 3/4, because it's only 1 millimeter, so it's a half a millimeter on both sides you have to take off. It's not much. So, you know, within 5 or 10 minutes, you might have to start it 2 or 3 times, but you can take it down to where it'll fit on there. And then you don't have to do what I did. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to leave the shaft alone. Even the machinist was like, yeah, you usually don't want to do that. It's better to open up because you're not losing any strength if you open the hole up. But you do lose, even if it's a little bit, you lose a little strength or stiffness on your shaft if you take it down. But for this, if it was direct drive, directly coupled, it would have been fine. You can do this. If it was a chain driven, you could probably still pull it off, but I would open it up if I had the tools. I would do it that way. If I didn't have the tools, I'd just file it. To be honest, it'd probably hold up just fine. So. Even though I said all that about being a little thicker, I mean, in reality, it'd probably work, okay? So if that's all you can do it. Who cares, man? It's only like less than $200. So I got asked today, what are you going to do if someone steals this? I said, it would be a fucking nightmare to steal this. You know how hard it was for me to get this on this car? The tubing barely fit, and I told the guy that asked me that, I said, the tubing barely fits, so it's a tight fit. So even if you manage to cut the pin out, you're going to have hell pulling this thing out of that car. And then he said, well, what if I just take a Sawzall to it? And I said, yeah, I guess you could. You could just cut it off, but what if somebody did something to make it? Have you ever, I don't know how many of you have ever cut into a wall before with a Sawzall, but especially if there's some still dead wires in the wall, how much frustration that wire can cause a Sawzall operator. So I want you to think about what I just said there. So if a person were to stretch a really strong, high-grade, high-tensile aircraft cable inside that tubing on a high-tension spring, what do you think it's going to do to the Sawzall once the blade hits that cable that's able to flex with the Sawzall? What do you think is going to happen? That's one way to make something nightmare-proof. Like you could still cut it with the Sawzall, but it's going to make it difficult. And depending on how you do the cable, it could make it extremely difficult because it's hard to cut that cable with a Sawzall, especially if it's a thick one. And I go all the way to the front which I might or might not have. Who knows? But no, I didn't. I can though. I am gonna do it since he suggested that. I'm gonna, because all I got to do is drill a hole in the tubing and push it in there, and then with the spring, boom, and then I mount it to the front, weld it to a little bracket in the front. It doesn't matter. The tubing doesn't even need to be open. I could square it off and close it if I needed to, and I think I will. But I'll put the cable in there first. So if you had a Sawzall, and once you get about halfway and you hit that cable, you're gonna realize your saw ain't cutting no more. Why is this? Why ain't it cutting? And then you have to rock the saw, and then it's just a pain in the ass. Like, why is it not cutting, man? It's like something's resisting me. And then you realize, and it's very tricky to cut a cable like that, because you have to. I ain't gonna tell you, but it's tricky. You almost can't. Like, it's very difficult because the Sawzall keeps moving the damn cable. So how are you gonna cut it? It's moving with the blade. So that's the trick, man. And manufacturers should have been doing that on your cats and stuff, because they could insert a cable or something in there that would help prevent. Sorry, I'm showing you my nasty trunk. That would prevent. There's my other hitch for my trailer. I had to make that. I'll show you all that one of these days. I forgot what I was saying, but yeah. Oh yeah, the cable. Yeah. You do that, man. It makes it a lot harder. And even if you can cut the tubing, now you have to cut the cable. So now you have another job. And it's just to make their job harder, man. You can't stop a thief. Trust me, if I wanted to steal something of yours, you ain't stopping me. But you could make it extremely difficult for me to take something. Like, here's the thing. If they look at something and say, it's going to take me 30 minutes to a fucking hour to get this thing that I want, they're not going to do it, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it, because all it has to be, and I got cameras looking at this in the car and in the house. So, but it's not worth it. The thief's not going to do it because it's not worth it. It takes too much time. Now, if I had a snap pin in there that you could easily pull out and that slid right out in 2 minutes, yes, yeah, they'd steal it then if they wanted it. But like it is right now, they see the lock and then they're thinking about it like, oh shit, you got a wrench? No, I ain't got the right wrench. And use different bolts and nylock, so I can't even. You got to have 2 wrenches, and then it's a big problem. And I could even tack 1 bolt. I could tack 1 nut on the bottom on an easy corner for me to access, and make it very difficult too, because then I'll make you work. You'll get 3 of the bolts, and then you'll come to the last bolt and you'll realize it's welded. Wouldn't that suck? But anyway, yep. So just wanted to show you all that, because I figured some viewers would want to see how I made the muffler, so that's why. And this packing was cheap, and yeah. All right, peace.